Hi dear students, today we are going to study conductometric titrations. Now what is meant by conductometric titrations? Titration during which change in conductance of solution is measured. So here we measure the value of conductance, and by using value of conductance we have to plot the graph, and from graph we will get idea about the end point. Now here conductometric titration, in which we measure the conductance, and that conductance depends upon two important factors. In that, first factor is number of ions, and second factor is the mobility of ion. Number of ions and mobility of ions. So here important thing you keep in mind, as number of ions increases, conductivity increases, and second thing, as mobility of ion increases, conductance increases. So here one diagram in front of you, just for understanding the titration. No need to draw this diagram in exam. What we do, we take one beaker, and in beaker we have to take electrolyte. We have to take one burette. We have to dip conductivity cell into the beaker solution, and we have to connect that conductivity cell to conductivity meter. Now, for example, here we are taking HCl in the beaker and NaOH in the burette. So here conductance value of HCl changes because of addition of NaOH. Which value changes? Conductance value changes due to addition of NaOH. Okay, so graph conductance versus ml of NaOH versus ml of NaOH. Why NaOH? Because we add NaOH from the burette, and NaOH is responsible for changing the value of conductance. In conductometric titration, we are going to see four types of titration. In that, first one is a strong acid with strong base. Second one is weak acid with strong base. Third one is a weak base with strong acid, and last one is a weak acid with weak base. So one by one we are going to study. And dear students, out of 4 titration, there will be 2 titration in your INSEM exam question paper, and out of 2, one type of titration will be compulsory to solve in the examination. So first case is a strong acid with a strong base. So strong acid is HCl and strong base is NaOH. So here we are taking NaOH in the burette and HCl in the beaker, or you can say conical flask. Now here you can see the graph, conductance versus ml of NaOH. And if you see the beginning of curve, initial value of conductance is very high because presence of highly mobile H plus ions, and we know that if mobility is high, conductance value is very high. Now why H plus ions shows high mobility? Because size of H plus ions very small, that's why mobility is high, and because of high mobility, initial value of conductance is high. As addition of NaOH start, you can see the reaction below graph. As addition of NaOH start, highly mobile H plus ions start replacing into low mobile Na plus ions. So here, as mobility of ions decreases, conductance of solution decreases. That's why conductance value decreases up to end point. At the end point, we get lowest value of conductance because all H plus completely converted into low mobile Na plus. So because of complete conversion of H plus into Na plus, we get lowest value of conductance. Up after end point, conductance value start increasing again because increase in concentration of Na plus and OH minus ions. NaOH is a strong electrolyte. It dissociates completely. So number of ions increases after end point. So as number of ions increases, conductance value increases. So after graph, you have to write the explanation of the graph. Then you have to write the reaction. HCl plus NaOH, it gives NaCl plus H2O. Now second case, weak acid with strong base. So weak acid is acetic acid, strong base is NaOH. In burette, take NaOH, and in beaker or conical, take acetic acid. Okay, so here graph conductance versus ml of burette solution. So what present in burette? NaOH. So change in conductance due to addition of NaOH. Now you can see the initial point of the conductance, and that initial point of conductance is low, or you can say less. Why? Because presence of weak electrolyte in the beaker, and weak electrolyte produces less number of ions. Okay, so because of that reason, initial value of conductance is low because presence of weak electrolyte. Now as addition of NaOH start, you can see the reaction at the bottom. Acetic acid plus NaOH. As we started addition of NaOH, so conductance value start increasing slowly. That slow increase in the value of conductance up to end point because of production of strong electrolyte. You can see in the reaction in the product that strong electrolyte is sodium acetate. So sodium acetate is a strong electrolyte and it increases number of ions. So conductance value increases up to end point. After end point, conductance value increases again. Why? Because addition of strong electrolyte NaOH, and strong electrolyte NaOH produces more number of ions. So as number of ions increases, conductance value increases. So you have to plot the graph, then you have to write the explanation of the curve. That is what? Initial value is low, then it increases up to end point, and after end point conductance value again increases. That points you have to write. Okay, so why initial value of conductance is low? Because of weak electrolyte, less ion. And why conductance value goes on increasing on addition of NaOH? Because of formation of strong electrolyte, and strong electrolyte produces more number of ions. After end point, we observe more increase in the value of conductance because increase in the concentration of strong electrolyte, and strong electrolyte produces more number of ions. So conductance value increases. Now third case, weak base with a strong acid. Weak base is NH4OH and strong acid is HCl. Now here we are going to take NH4OH in the beaker and HCl in the burette. So what will happen? If we take NH4OH in the beaker and HCl in the burette. So here graph, that is the conductance versus ml of HCl, because we always take the chemical which is present in the burette, and that burette chemical is responsible for changing the value of conductance. So whatever chemical we take in the burette, that we have to take against conductance. So you can see here initial value of conductance is very low. Why? Because in conical weak electrolyte NH4OH present, weak electrolyte produce less ions. That's why initial value of conductance is low. The moment we start adding HCl, HCl start reacting with NH4OH, and we observe slight increase in the value of conductance up to end point. Why slight increase? Because formation of strong electrolyte NH4Cl, and NH4Cl increases number of ions. That's why we observe slight change in the value of conductance up to end point. After end point, you can see conductance value increases suddenly. Why sudden? Because after end point, concentration of HCl increases. HCl produces highly mobile H plus ions. So here, as the mobility of ions increases, value of conductance increases. Okay, so this is about what? We take NH4OH in the conical and HCl in the burette. Now you just imagine what will happen if we take HCl in conical and NH4OH in the burette. NH4OH in the burette. Let us see. Now here we take HCl in the conical and NH4OH in the burette. So as I already said, the chemical that we are taking in the burette, that chemical we have to take against conductance, and that burette chemical is responsible for changing the value of conductance. So here we will get a graph conductance versus ml of NH4OH added. Now see, initial point of curve, that is what, initial value of conductance is very high. Why it is very high? Because in beaker or in conical, HCl is present. HCl containing highly mobile H plus ions. So because of high mobility of H plus ions, initial value of conductance is high. So as addition of NH4OH start, conductance value start decreasing. Why conductance value start decreasing? Because H plus ions, that is a highly mobile H plus ions, start replacing into low mobile NH4 plus ions. So as mobility of ions decreases, conductance value decreases. So that decrease take place up to end point, and at the end point we get a lowest value of conductance, and that lowest value of conductance indicate H plus ions completely converted into NH4 plus ions, means highly mobile ions completely converted into low mobile ions. That's why we get a lowest value of conductance. After end point, we observe slight increase in the value of conductance. Why slight increase? Because slight increase in the number of ions. Why number of ions increases slightly? Because we continue the addition of weak electrolyte, that is NH4OH, and weak electrolyte produce less number of ions, whatever it may be, but it produce ions. So as per the quantity of ions produced by weak electrolyte, we observe slight change in the value of conductance. Slight, close to constant, slight. Why slight? Because increase in concentration of weak electrolyte, and weak electrolyte produce less ions. That's why slight increase. Okay. Now last case, weak acid with weak base, both are weak. So weak acid is acetic acid and weak base is NH4OH. Now here we are taking NH4OH in the burette and acetic acid in the conical or beaker. Now conductance changes. Who responsible for changing the value of conductance? The chemical that we are taking in the burette. That burette chemical is responsible for changing the value of conductance. So here in the graph you can see initial value of conductance is low. Why? Because presence of weak electrolyte acetic acid, and weak electrolyte produces less ions. So if ions are less, then value of conductance is less. Now the moment we start adding NH4OH from burette into the beaker, conductance value start increasing. Why? Because formation of strong electrolyte. Strong electrolyte produces more ions. So as number of ions increases, conductance value increases. After end point, we observe slight increase in the value of conductance. Why slight? Because after end point, increase in the concentration of weak electrolyte, and weak electrolyte produces less ions, and because of less ions, we observe slight increase in the value of conductance. Okay, so we get graph like this. So for this case, you have to plot the graph, then you have to write the explanation, and at the end you have to write the reaction. Okay, so 3 points you have to cover: graph, explanation and reaction. So dear students, in this way we completed 4 types of titrations. So out of 4, definitely fixed question will come in same examination, right? And in that question you have to write explanation, graph and reaction. Hope you understood, right? Thank you for watching.